All right, everyone, we are out front and we're getting ready for another big project. I feel like that's happening a lot this season.
Yeah, it is. Big things coming.
That's right. So we are in the front of our house, like I said. You guys can see those big giant hornbeams behind us in the boxes. And that's not the only thing we're preparing for. So those are going to go in the ground. I know this week we found some really amazing people who are going to do our fence work, which we're going to tell you about. And they're actually going to plant those in the ground for us. And then...
Thank God.
Yes. And then they are going to put in a beautiful picket fence right here where we're standing on the left side of the front of our house, right side if you're looking at the house. And this is going to be an entirely new garden area.
Okay, so if you remember from a few weeks ago, we went to Site 1 and picked up these European hornbeam espalier trees for an insane deal.
Such a good deal.
These are usually a few $1,000s, and we got them for $150 each.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, we loaded up the trees on a U-Haul and pulled them off ourselves. But then now that they've been sitting here for a few weeks, we have come to terms with the fact that we do not have the ability to plant these ourselves. So, like Brian said, we do have some folks coming next week to do some fence work, and they actually offered to plant these for us. So we'll show you where they're gonna go, and when we get back there, we'll talk a little bit about how that process is gonna work. But we wanted to show you how beautiful they are starting to leaf out.
Yeah.
And the foliage is really kind of, it's like lines almost. It's very unique.
Yeah, it's got a really gorgeous veining. And I'll also say, like, the new leaves have a lot of character. The older leaves get a little bit larger.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about these is an Espalier hornbeam, like I think I said before, like we just don't typically see these here used as a screen. And I just love the layering that you get from all of the little branches sort of peeking out. Mm-hmm. And it creates this really feathery look. And I think it's going to be so great in the space.
So you'll see that we've got some sparseness here in the middle of this one, and this one that's behind Brian is just really not happy.
Yeah.
And they are alive, like they are leafing out. So we're gonna have to do some research on how to rejuvenate these, and maybe we'll do a little deadwood pruning and cut back to where the green is. But we got such a great deal that we're taking the risk and we're gonna plant them. And I mean, even if some of the wood doesn't come back, they'll fill in a couple years.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll ever notice.
Yeah, I think with some fertilizer and just honestly attending to them, I think that they'll be really beautiful in a few years. And I think that this kind of a screen is super unique. And so we're excited just to see it all come together. But we do have to dig some really, really big holes.
Yeah, that part we do have to do that job. So these are, what, 5 feet wide?
Yes, so they're 5 feet wide and 20 inches deep.
Actually, I think they're 7 feet wide.
7 tall.
Oh, 7 tall.
Yes.
Okay. Either way, it's a big hole. So our goal today is to get the holes dug so that we can get these out of the way and prepare for the new picket fence garden that is going to be up here along our driveway.
Yes, I'm so excited about it. I feel like we have had a lot of fun creating the gardens in front of our house.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know all the gardens that are in the backyard have been curated over the past few years. Big projects to make them exactly what we want them to be. And I feel like this year is a big year for that because we've got the whole new peninsula area. But we want to carry that to the front yard so that our guests, when we're having garden tours, or even just our neighbors when they're driving by, they all really enjoy our gardens and tell us that, and that makes us feel so good. And so we feel like if there's untapped potential up here, we are going to tap into it. And so this new picket fence garden is going to border one side of our whole yard, and we aren't going to do any grass. We are going to clear the whole area out. They're going to till for us, and we're going to prepare it for a whole new, beautiful wild garden. Okay, so we have made our way to the Union Garden, and I feel like this is where the bulk of our work is going to be today, probably, just because there's so much moving that has to occur in order for us to be ready to bring those boxed espaliers in. So what we're going to do first is move a lot of our plants that are sort of back in this garden. We're going to move those forward, and it actually is going to work out perfectly because a lot of those plants, we want them closer, and we want this space to be super full and kind of wild and
tight, really tightly planted.
Yeah, very tight and layered looking, and it just has hasn't been that since we have planted it, which obviously you guys know this is a pretty young garden. So hopefully it's not going to be a big deal to move some of these things. I know we have some grasses, so I imagine those will be a little rooted in.
Yeah.
But I feel like we'll be able to save most of everything. We're just really going to pop everything in the back of this garden forward a few feet to make space for those really big boxes. So the first thing we're going to have to do is measure. So the plan is our fence guys, actually, who are going to do all the fence work for us, they have a tractor, and they gave us the really great idea of just popping some of our fence panels out, and then they're going to bring the boxes around this way through our neighbor's yard. They're going to plop these espaliers right into the ground, into some holes that we're going to dig today.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Then we'll backfill with dirt and maybe some good compost.
Yeah.
And we'll probably give them some Super Thrive as well to help with the transplanting and hopefully push new growth. So we only have 2 espaliers. And as you might be able to see, we're going to do one on that end and one on this end. But what's going to go in the middle, Brian?
Well, so I have been wanting an espaliered apple, crabapple, pear, some sort of beautiful espaliered tree in this Union garden.
Something that flowers, which is the important part.
Yeah, something that flowers, something that is a beautiful shape that can really highlight and make this large fence. It's 8 feet tall, so you can see it kind of stands there like a statue all the time, and it's just...
It looks like a fortress to me.
Yes, and so we've always wanted to screen it, and that's why, of course, when we came across the hornbeams, we scooped them up, because that's going to make this space a lot cooler. It's going to feel so intimate in here. But I'm lucky I got 2 of them and just had 1 left, because in the middle, we are going to be doing an espaliered crabapple tree that is going to be in a candelabra shape. So a candelabra,
really cool.
Imagine a candelabra, so it just has arms that go out and come up. And we're going to do a 3-tier one, because that's about 7 feet wide. The 2 espaliered hornbeams are also about 7 feet wide, and they will all 3 fit in the space so perfectly. So that's to come later.
Yeah, and that will be a nice green backing against the fence to kind of help the garden pop a little bit more. And I think it will make it feel more lived in.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's very clear that it is a young garden, and it's also mostly perennials, right? So everything in early spring is short.
Yeah.
But if we have this green kind of wall here instead, I think it will just make it feel more lively all year long.
Yeah, and I love the idea that the hornbeams are just a fluffy screen, but then we get to feature this sort of like art piece right in the middle.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really gorgeous. So first thing we're going to do is measure our spaces for our hornbeams.
Actually, we need to transplant first.
Oh, okay. So first thing we're going to do is transplant then.
Yes.
And we'll be moving our hydrangeas and our grasses forward. Then we will measure for the space for the boxes, which they're gonna pop the boxes off obviously before they put them into the ground. So maybe we'll gain a few inches that we don't have to dig in holes.
Maybe
today.
that would be nice.
Yes.
So the hydrangeas that are in here, we have 4 little hottie hydrangeas, which get 3 to 5 feet tall and wide.
Yeah.
So bringing them forward is actually going to be great because it will give us more height closer this way to the sidewalk. And then we have 3 Apache rose grasses that also give a purple plume in the fall, which, you know, this is our purple garden, which is very on brand. So we're going to try to preserve those in here and just bring them forward.
Yes. I think everything's going to be so nice and layered. We're going to have this beautiful middle layer now against the hornbeams and the espaliered crabapple tree in the middle of the fence. So I think it's going to be gorgeous. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think we need to go get some shovels and get started.
Here we go, folks.
That's a little close. Go back. Yeah, I think right there. Nice and slow. Seems okay.
It's right there in the middle.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah.
It's in the middle?
It's in the middle. Of course.
Where?
Right.
Oh.
And that's if I come back, then it just seems like an odd spot to be, right?
Pull it up out of the ground and let's just adjust it. This will help you anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, we can definitely pull that. I would push it forward, because we're gonna have drip back there like there's a back row. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Do you want a stake?
Yeah, that would help, just so I can like make sure I don't hit it. Want to just pop it in here for me? All right, let's try this again. Guys, so we've got all of our hydrangeas moved. We even got some Camassia pulled out of the ground that I think we're gonna replant. Hopefully they'll spread a little bit better. I don't think I planted them quite shallow enough. I think they were a little too deep.
They seemed way too far in the ground. And we've also been, as we plant over here, the dirt has just kind of been mounding up, which is also why the drip tubing was way underground. So I think we're just gonna relay all of that once we finish digging holes here in a minute.
Yes.
But we did get the hydrangeas moved. We got the grasses moved, and we were originally thinking of just pulling the grasses forward or maybe pulling them out altogether.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of tight in there and we weren't sure where the grasses were gonna fit. But behind the Union Garden is where we keep our
plant hoard.
Plant hoard, yeah. That's where we keep our plant hoard. And it's somewhat of an eyesore because there's just a lot of things back there, and the AC unit is back there. So we put those grasses in a clump at the end of the Union Garden.
Yeah.
So once they grow up, they'll be kind of like a natural screen, which will help. And I personally love figuring out ways to get plants in your garden that can help solve a problem that is maybe an eyesore or something you don't want to see. So those grasses will grow, I think, 2.5 to 3 feet tall. So that'll be a nice little screen for us.
Yeah, and the texture, like the clump of texture at that end of the garden is also going to be really beautiful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we have got to do is the task of digging 2 enormous holes. So we went and measured the boxes, and we have the measurements for the boxes. We're gonna mark the measurements on the ground with flags just so we can begin digging inside the hole and sort of like work our way out. That's just so we make sure we go deep enough and then also wide enough, because what they're gonna do is take out the fence panels behind us, like we said, and they're gonna drop these trees down into the holes with the tractor. And so we wanna make sure that the hole is big enough for the actual tree and the root ball, which is now a rectangle, to just sort of like drop right down in there, have a little bit compost go around it, and then obviously all the fertilizers. And we'll also both be working during that time. So we don't want to have to come out here and dig a bunch of holes.
More?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I think we're gonna flag out the edges of each hole, and we're gonna get started digging. Can you unlock it a little bit?
No, I do not trust you.
Don't trust me? Ah, you're the one who cut the shit out of my finger earlier.
Hey, we're recording.
He cut the shit out of my finger earlier.
It feels like we should lay this on the ground.
Okay.
So I'm measuring to this little black post right here, right?
Try to find the middle of the post that runs this way.
So that is roughly like 263 inches.
Divided by 3. And that's the middle of each point.
I don't know what that is.
263.
I don't know. I have to get a calculator.
Is Siri around?
Go see if you can figure out what that is.
Let's see, Sonny. 87.6 inches per spot.
Give me a flag. Take this and go 5.5 feet. We said 66. So this is 66.
Okay. Can you measure between those two and make sure it's going right?
How many? I forgot how many inches you said. So let's just measure that just for the giggles.
Giggles?
And now let's say this one, we'll just also measure 56. Okay. Now we have another 31.5. Ooh, can't. And now we've got 56.
Yeah. That's it?
That's it.
We're pretty far away here.
Well, we're gonna measure. Put the flag and we can measure. Now, from here to the fence post, if you measured correctly, should be 15.75, but it doesn't look like it.
No.
And what were you measuring with?
What are you talking about?
We're way off.
No, the math is wrong. For some reason, it looks like this box is way wider than these two. That box looks right. These are wrong. What's going on?
It's 56, right? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? What the heck? 66.
Okay.
I'm an idiot.
Well, you said it.
I was thinking 5 feet, 56, not 5 feet as in 60 inches. Oh gosh, good thing I'm not a carpenter.
Yeah, you would be ruining it.
Now this should be the 31.5. Lord, what in the heck? Now this should be 66.
Perfect.
Now that's more like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, this is a good start.
Yeah, I feel good. Now let's dig 2 big holes.
All right. So last night we thought that we were going to be slick and dig both holes for the espalier trees, and we quickly realized that we barely got one hole.
These are caskets like style holes, people.
Yeah.
Like these are huge holes because box trees have giant root balls, and we could not dig the trees out of these because it's an espalier. So that's how they're growing.
So we made a deal with our fence guy and said, hey, if we dig one hole, can you guys dig the other hole? So that's what they did, and obviously you just saw the process this morning was pretty easy. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched the first one go in from my office and then came out here for the second one and watched it go in, and it was pretty easy with the tractor, right?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the boxes were super heavy, and we could not have done that without the tractor helping us. But I will say the guys were just like problem solvers, and that's so nice to have people with you that can help, obviously, but also that are problem solvers so that you can just figure it out together. And we did, and we ended up planting them in these like perfect spots. And the only thing left to do is pack dirt around them and finish the planting process, because the only thing we did earlier was really set them down in the holes, make sure they're in the right spots and the holes were big enough, and they were. And so I think what we're going to do now is plant some, well, not plant, we're going to fill around the root balls with some really, really good soil, because I'm sure you guys have heard this before, and if you haven't, you should really be spending double the amount of prep time and budget on your soil as you do your actual plant.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure that we have really good soil around these. We're going to put some Espoma land and seed compost, as you guys have seen us use before, around each one of them. We're also going to put some really amazing soil conditioner that has all sorts of good stuff in it. And then we're also going to put some garden soil just to make sure that these have really great drainage and a lot of good soil packed in around them.
And don't forget the biotone fertilizer.
Yes, we haven't put any
That's
biotone on them
the
yet.
most important thing,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, I mean, look right above my head.
Yep.
There's some limbs that have yet to leaf out. So
Yeah.
we're like crossing our fingers that once we get these in the hole and start giving them some good water, that they will leaf out. But yeah, we're going to go grab our dirt and get started.
Here we go. All right, guys, so we have our espalier trees all watered in.
I look red.
Tyler got the drip installed, which was quite the feat. It was a little bit hard.
Yeah.
But the espaliers look great. They are already creating a screen for us on
Well,
both sides.
This one, not so much.
Yes, we
Try the other
understand
one.
they have some
That one looks
recovery.
better.
Yes, they have some recovery that needs to happen, but I put some Super Thrive on both of them, and I'm hoping that with the extra water and the extra fertilizer that they'll really push out. Every tree is alive, and so it's really just about recovering it, and I think that we can do that. So
and we put, or I put, 4 1-gallon per hour emitters on each box, if you will.
Yep.
So they'll each be getting, that water's for 30 minutes. We're about to jump to every day. So they'll be getting 2 gallons of water every day, which is
a lot more than
good.
a lot more than they were getting, because they were in these boxes at site 1 for probably 1.5 to 2 years without getting
2 years.
Yeah, without getting consistent water, just whenever it rained. And then they were on our driveway for another few months without getting consistent water. So when we put the root ball in the ground, it was kind of like just like a sponge because it was so root bound. So we are going to recover them, and they're going to be glorious. But I think for tonight, we're happy.
Yeah. So tomorrow, well, okay, so here you can see our fence guys kind of took out that little dip that was there in our fence.
Yep.
So we've got to stain that. Tomorrow they're coming back to do the same thing on the other side of our property, and then they're going to install the picket fence at the front. And then once they finish that, we can stain everything and start planting, which that's the fun stuff.
Yes, and we have such an exciting plan. We're going to walk you guys through that whole area when the time comes, but I think we're good for tonight.
Yeah, we're going to call it a night.
See ya.
See you tomorrow.
All right, everybody, we have an entirely new garden space right behind us. I'm so happy about it. It's honestly, it's kind of big. So we ran this picket fence all the way from back there at the corner where you can see our trash cans, which we're gonna
cover those.
We're gonna cover them. We're gonna make them nice. So we ran it all the way from there almost to the street, and the entire space is fluffy because we had them till up the soil, and there has been what I guess is like crabgrass basically there for years and years. And you guys know that spreads so easily. So we wanted to get it taken care of. So they tilled it all up, and we've got fresh soil to plant in now, which is perfect because I think we're almost ready to plant.
Yeah. So we will be sharing the plans for this space at a later date.
Yes.
But we wanted to at least show you the fence because it's really beautiful.
Yep. Okay, so like we said, we took this all the way from the corner of our fence, which is our property line, down to almost to the road. We're probably about 4 feet from the road, which is perfect because we got permission from our neighbor, and we are gonna wrap the garden space all the way around to her side so that she has some really beautiful things to look at. Our neighbor has some really cute granddaughters, and they come over all the time, and they really love coming into our garden and looking around. And so we think it's going to be really fun for them to be able to explore this area, and then our neighbors to see it as they're walking by. So Tyler's going to share much more about this space because we have a blueprint already, and we have gorgeous plans for all the plants that we're going to be receiving soon. And they'll all go into this space. So of course we'll bring you guys along for the ride. Okay, so now we're going to walk to the backyard and show you guys the fence updates back there and the espaliers all in the ground. Okay, so as we come around the corner here, first big fence update we did was to extend the 8-foot fence all the way down to the corner of where we had our concrete poured. As you guys know, before we had the concrete poured, this was all gravel, and it didn't quite go that far. And we knew that we wanted this to be sort of a centerpiece of the garden with a fountain. Obviously, we found that fountain. And we wanted the space around it to really have the height to support the fountain, because what we're going to end up doing is putting some beautiful vines all over the fence behind it, and then some containers in front of that. So this just feels so much more balanced than it was before. So that's the first update. The next update is to this side, which I'm not sure if you guys have noticed in our videos before, but this used to dip down with the earth's grade. So it used to dip down like this and then sort of go up all the way up to meet the other side. And so that dip sort of caused me some panic because I'm a little bit OCD, and we had that straightened out. So now we have more privacy, but I think we also have more of a feature here as you walk into the Union Garden. This is the next big thing. So we've got our European hornbeam espaliers in the ground. And like we said before, they have some recovering to do. They were in those boxes for quite some time, but I think this whole space is just so different now, and it just looks lush and beautiful. And I'm super excited about it. What do you think, Tyler?
I love it.
He loves it, folks.
So there's obviously perennials that are starting to come up in here, which is really beautiful. But pulling the hydrangeas forward just made it super lush. Can you get close up on this one, Brian? This is a Violet Riot Salvia. And then we have Silver Linings Artemisia. These are some Riptide Stokes Aster. There's some Betony. This is Cat's Meow Nepeta. We've got some Apache Rose grasses. Just like imagine, this whole thing is gonna blow here in a few weeks. And it's gonna be so pretty with the trees.
And then we've got that space right in the middle for a big surprise that somehow is likely to come this week. So we're very excited about this. Another espalier is on the way, and we'll have to show you all about it and give you a tour whenever the time comes.
All right, folks, I think that wraps up this video. We did a lot of work in this one, from digging that big giant hole to having the fence put up, and we've got some staining to do. So we're gonna wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.